The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus departed from there and came to his native place, accompanied by his disciples. When the Sabbath came, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were astonished. They said, "Where did this man get all this? What kind of wisdom has been given him? What mighty deeds are wrought by his hands? Is he not the carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James and Joseph and Judas and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us?" And they took offense at him. Jesus said to them, "A prophet is not without honor except in his native place, and among his own kin and in his own house." So he was not able to perform any mighty deed there, apart from curing a few sick people by laying his hands on them. He was amazed at their lack of faith. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Father.
It was a hard day for the Lord Jesus in Nazareth, visiting the people that they love the most who will not receive the Lord. And any time in the Gospels, especially in the New Testament, we hear the word brothers and sisters of Jesus. We're mindful that in Aramaic there's not a word for cousin, so cousins are referred to as brothers and sisters. These are the people that Jesus grew up with. These are the ones that are closest to him, the ones that he wanted to give the Father's love to for their salvation, and they renounce him. It's a kind of prophetic moment of the piercing of the Lord's heart. And the way to read it needs to be read with the verses that follow. Right after Jesus is in Nazareth, right after he's rejected by his own, it's going to be the very next verses where they're leaving Nazareth and Jesus gathers the 12 and he says, "Now I'm going to send you with my power and my authority to go and heal the sick and exorcise demons and proclaim the word. You will pronounce the kingdom in my name." And so the moment of rejection, the piercing of his heart, is not followed by a moment of Jesus feeling sorry for himself or hiding from the mission that he has. It's followed by a moment of abundant fruitfulness. Because the piercing of a heart, when our hearts are open to God's grace, always leads to something greater. And the something greater here is maybe those in Nazareth would not receive the Lord, but there are a lot of people who will. And Jesus sends the disciples to them, and that's the greatest triumph. The piercing of his heart in Nazareth is going to lead to the conquest of the nations from the cross. The Lord asks us to also live in the maturity and wisdom of the school of his pierced heart. When the piercings come, to live them, trusting that if the Lord has allowed it, not because he first wants them, but if the Lord has allowed it, he wants us to live them with him. And when those piercings are lived united with the heart of Christ, new fountains are open. Even whole cities can be conquered by the power of God's grace. Let us conclude with these words of our Mother Foundress. It is up to us to go to a world that is hostile to Christ and to the gospel, and to proclaim with a coherent Christian life with a firm and radical conviction that Christ is the Lord, and that only in him is the true realization and liberation of the human person. And that is the greatest news. It's news even worth allowing oneself to be pierced for. All for the heart of Jesus.
Through the heart of Mary.